Dominique Strauss-Kahn became managing editor of the International Monetary Fund in 2007 with strong support from French President Nicolas Sarkozy.
I've spoken on the phone with Dominique Strauss-Kahn, and I told him he'll be an excellent IMF leader.
The United States also backed Strauss-Kahn's candidacy. Then U.S. Treasury Secretary Henry Paulson.
I'm very positive about Dominique Strauss-Kahn.
For some, Strauss-Kahn transformed and revived the IMF. Jacob Kirkgaard is with the Peterson Institute for International Economics.
In 2007, the IMF was actually going through a period of downsizing. It was laying off staff, and nobody really thought it was ever going to be, ever necessary or useful again.
Then came the global financial crisis of 2008 and the fallout from that period. Kirkgaard says that made the fund an indispensable financial organization.
I think to a large extent, quite a lot of that credit for positioning the IMF as such a key institutional player in this process really should go to Dominique Strauss-Kahn.
He also says the world financial crisis is not over, but the IMF has played a crucial role in aiding financially strapped countries, notably in Europe.
The IMF's rapid reaction with respect to putting in place a credible structural reform program in Greece, in Ireland, and recently also in Portugal, I think has been very crucial in terms of imbuing financial markets with at least a slimmer of hope that this can actually be done without a very disruptive sovereign default. This is one of the areas in which the IMF has been a very proactive player, obviously led by the managing director.
But others rate Strauss-Kahn differently.
If you were to rate the leadership of the International Monetary Fund in the last 5 years, particularly from a lens on Africa, it would have to be a failing grade.
Amira Woods is with the Institute for Policy Studies in Washington.
And when you recognize that the recession, to a large extent, was kicked off here in the United States by U.S. housing policy and U.S. economic policy, and yet there have been no fundamental changes from the IMF for the U.S., you realize that there is completely a double standard where the IMF is trying to really dictate to countries in Africa and other parts of the world when those same dictates are not being applied to the U.S., Europe, or other wealthy countries.
The 62-year-old Strauss-Kahn is a former French finance minister and had been expected to seek the presidency in the 2012 election. He's married to his third wife, the former French anchor Anne Sinclair, and has weathered previous sex scandals. In 2008, he apologized for what he termed an error in judgment for an affair with one of his subordinates.